So today I'm going to be talking about how the heroes can be fixed in Battlefront 2. This is a problem I've experienced for a while now, and I find that the light side heroes are just not as good as the dark side villains on this game. Now this is just my personal opinion, so let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Maybe you think the heroes are fine, or maybe you agree with what I'm saying here today. We're going to individually go through all 8 of the heroes, starting off with Master Yoda. Now let's talk about Yoda's abilities first. His Unleash, I find, is a good ability when it works. I find it's very buggy. Sometimes it just doesn't work for me. I push the enemies and nothing happens to them. I know a few other people say they experience this, and some people have never experienced it at all, so this is just down to fixing Unleash in my opinion, making sure it always works when it should be, and then it's a fine ability. His other 2 abilities, Presence and Dash Attack, I don't really have a problem with, to be honest, and I would keep them exactly the same. Along with his health, I have no problem with that. However, I do have a bit of an issue with his primary attack. So I feel like Yoda should have a faster animation when he's swinging his lightsaber. Sometimes I'll be going after an enemy, and because of how slow he swings his lightsaber, I fall behind the enemy a bit, and they do escape sometimes as well. For example, when I'm using Luke, who I'll get onto in just a second, when he's swinging his lightsaber, he moves forward with each strike so he can stay on top of his enemy. Yoda just seems to fall behind a bit. I think quicker animations are needed with this. But I wouldn't say I've got the biggest issues with Yoda on this game. Apart from those things there, he is absolutely fine. Speaking of Luke Skywalker though, let's move on to him. I've got a lot of issues with Luke on this game. I've been speaking about these since the launch of the game and nothing really seems to be done about it. But moving on to his abilities now, the push I would actually keep the same. I know it was a one-hit kill in the last game, however I think they're trying to do that a bit differently in this game. It's supposed to be used to get enemies back, push them to the floor, and then kill them with your saber afterwards. Repulse, however, is my biggest issue with Luke. I love this ability at the start of the game because I thought it had a really cool animation, and then I realised how little damage it does. I think this should take all enemies down to below half their health, and then you can finish them off with the saber or maybe his rush ability. You may think that's very overpowered, but I look how good Rey is in this game, and then we have Luke, and he just doesn't really compare to any of the saber users, I would say. Giving Repulse this huge damage increase really could work wonders for Luke. His rush ability, I would just say a faster animation there. I know the damage isn't too good, but we're going to move on to the next point, which could compensate for that. The reason I've said his rush should do the same amount of damage is because I'm already trying to increase the damage of his Unleash ability, and now I also want to increase the damage of his primary attacks as well. I think the best way to put this simply is, instead of saying how much the damage could be increased by, just make Luke's saber do the same amount as Rey's does currently, because hers works really well, and it's the same lightsaber, isn't it? So I think it should do the same amount of damage as Rey's. Han Solo though, I don't have too many issues with. His Detonate Charge and Sharpshooter I think should remain the same. His Sharpshooter isn't the best ability, however I think buffing it may make it a bit too overpowered. I'd keep it the same for now and see how it goes. However, Han's Shoulder Charge I think should work just like the last game. In this game, once he hits one enemy with the Shoulder Charge, he stops it and the damage is given. In the last game, he could go through multiple enemies, getting himself a few kills in the process as well. I'm not saying it should be like the last game where Han Solo's getting loads of kills from one shoulder charge, but what I'm saying is he should be able to run through a crowd of enemies and not just stop when he hits the first one. It should do a bit more damage as well. Overall, I just want this ability to have a bit more of an impact in game. I don't really feel like it has one right now. I'd keep his health the same, so moving on to Princess Leia, I wouldn't mess with her flash grenade at all. Her squad shield, not my favourite ability, but there's not much you can do about it now. Her rapid fire E11 needs a huge damage increase. I used to find this really good, but it doesn't feel that good anymore. Most of the time now, I don't even feel like I'm getting the rapid fire E11 out. I think it needs a huge damage increase here. I'd keep her health the same as well, but I don't think it would be right to miss out her secondary fire here. This is very OP on maps like Crate and the first phase of Hoth, and I would say you need to decrease the range of the lock-on, so you have to be more precise with your shots. On Crate especially, you don't even have to aim for an enemy directly and it will still hit them because of the huge lock-on it has. If you really want to make Leia a more skillful hero, then you need to be very precise with your shots, because if you're aiming one way and your shot goes the complete other way and locks onto someone, it's not really that skillful, is it? The next 3 heroes though, I'm pretty fine with, to be honest. I mean, with Chewbacca, maybe you could give his bowcaster a cooldown, but it's not something I think we really need. Lando is fine once again. It really does depend on how good you are at the game with Lando, I think. You have to be very tactical with Lando and you also have to be very skillful. I'm not the best with him, but I know that Lando can be played right. And Rey, I think, is fine now. Ever since they got rid of the fact that the mind trick could stop people using their abilities in game, I think she's absolutely fine in this game. Her friend Finn, on the other hand, isn't doing so well for himself. His Deadeye needs a slight damage increase, I would say. It just doesn't do as much damage as it once did. I don't find me killing anyone with it now, to be honest. Big Deal isn't too bad, but I think Finn should keep his normal speed he has and not have his speed decreased when he uses Big Deal. Undercover Team, I would say give his GLIE 44 a damage increase. And finally, move his health from 600 to 650. I just don't find me using Finn that much. A lot of people don't use him as well. I know there are some very skillful Finn players out there, but a lot of people just don't use Finn, I'm afraid, and I really don't like that. But these are just my opinions, everyone. I know a lot of people will disagree with a video like this because we all have different preferences when it comes to the heroes we choose in Battlefront 2. But thank you very much for watching. I'll be covering the villains tomorrow, so do watch out for that. Thank you for watching, as I said. I'll see you all next time.